I want to make sure that you can all see me, and to ensure that that is possible, I am tall, 5'10", medium light-skinned. I'm not stout, sina kitambi. I weigh what I ought to weigh at my height. I'm blind, totally blind, wearing a navy blue suit, a white shirt, a tie, black shoes. But to sum it all, I always wear a broad smile on my face. And at the risk of looking very handsome. Yeah, but as Irene did indicate, I am a judge of appeal in the Court of Appeal, presently stationed in Mombasa. But I've served in many capacities in this country. Besides practicing law privately, I also served in the Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution for 5 years. I've taught law for 30, how many years? I think 34 years, 35 years. The last being University of Embu Law School, where I was the founding dean. I tell you all this just so that you are able to see that disability never counts. What counts is what, as individuals, we are able to deliver. But our abilities are also defined by the opportunities we are given, the support we are given, and most important, the reasonable accommodation that we are accorded. We've come a long way, and most of you seated here, I want to believe. Can someone tell me whether Dr. Samuel Kabwe is with us this morning? Sam, you are here. Sam is one of the trailblazers that led us to believe that those suffering from, or rather, though having a disability, visual disability, late in age, it is possible to move on. But I must say this, that disability affects all of us, whether we have a disability or whether we are simply a relative, a father, a mother, a child with disability. It affects each one of us one way or another. And that is why it is an agenda that all of us must buy into. And that is why we are here. We are here to celebrate the milestones that we have achieved in this long journey in the promotion and protection of the rights of persons with disabilities. We are here to pass a message, to share a message of hope for all that believe in equality and equal protection of the law. Those of us who believe in equality at the workplace, in education, in society, and in all aspects of our social, economic, and cultural life, not to mention political life. Indeed, we need to identify gaps. We sit here to identify gaps and the pain points going forward just so that we may address the real issues of persons with disabilities. And the diversity that we have seen in the faces of Africa here this morning is a testimony that we have a great deal of work to do. And that is why we need to very intentionally put our minds together and join hands and ensure that we do what it takes to mobilize resources to address our challenges in accessibility, our challenges in inclusion. And that is why this particular conference is titled Inclusive Africa, not just a Kenyan agenda, but an agenda for the entire Africa, joining hands with other continents, such as Europe and America as well. There are areas of immediate concern for us seated here today, and concerns that we have identified all along over the years. The one is the need, indeed, to invest in early childhood and basic education, the need to invest in higher education for our youths with disability, and to ensure that they transit into employment and the labor market seamlessly. A word that I must repeat, as Irene pointed out. We have the need to invest in inclusive development and, more important, accessibility in all spheres of our lives. Our world today is, or rather has been gradually becoming a digital world where it is the technology that counts. And if we are behind with technology, then there is no place for us in today's world. And that is why we need to inspire commitment by all to ensure that we put our hands together, put our dollars together, and guarantee accessibility for all. And more particularly for persons with disabilities, because that is really where the shoe pinches. We all want to take inclusion to the next level. I know we've had our baby steps from years back when assistive technology came, but of course at a grand cost. You know what it means to be able to access technology by persons with disabilities. We know what it means to access your workplace for those who are on wheelchair or require modified motor vehicles to be able to get to where they have to get to earn a livelihood. Indeed, society at times judges us and puts us aside on the pretext that disability is too expensive to bear. It is not disability that is expensive. What is expensive are what it is that we need to play at equal level. And even what they count as an expense that they are not very keen to support, it's really not an expense. It's just what we call an opportunity cost. Yesterday, we had a sitting here, and I was pointing out that when an employer says that it is too expensive to get assistive devices for their newly recruited employees, one thing they forget is that if you just forego that one cocktail in a year, just one cocktail in a year, or one entertainment dinner in 2 years, you will be able to supply the equipment that is expected of you by way of reasonable accommodation. Others are not even familiar with our tax laws that give tax rebates to the full extent of what you have spent in reasonable accommodation. And therefore, disability is not expensive. There is nothing expensive in disability. What we suffer from is a mindset, a mental attitude that at the end of the day really doesn't serve the good of any of us. And I think those of you with disabilities present here will attest to the fact that those of you who are breadwinners, everyone else depends on you at the family level, the society level. The work you do is important for our nation, and at the end of the day, our disability really never counts. So that our commitment then must be seen today moving on, just so that when we meet here next year, another conference to take stock of the achievements that we have made, we will be able to recognize what we have done to ensure that reasonable accommodation moves to another level, to ensure that we are able indeed to take strides in investing in what we must invest. Irene has told us a great deal about those with whom we've joined hands to get where we are. Those of you who are familiar with inABLE know that 16 years ago, inABLE really was the least known of our non-state agencies struggling to come up with programs and projects to ensure accessibility. And today we are proud to be able to count to 4 stations where inABLE has established computer labs for learners with visual disability, projects that have made some of the institutions paperless. Just last week, was it last Friday, we were able to visit as Likoni, a school for the blind, the primary school, and the principal, who I believe is with us this morning, can attest to you, as she told me, that they are going paperless, with kids being able to do what they are expected to do to mark up with the others. Trust me, we all have a stake in all this. And among us are government officers who must take note of the things we are to talk about here, and to ensure that we are all together joining hands, and call on others as well to join us in ensuring that we move this agenda forward. And that is why we stand here and appreciate many who have moved along with us, put their dollars aside to ensure that some of these projects really take root and are sustainable. So we are proud to see those who have heeded the call to join inABLE, and notable among them are key players in the digital world. Apple, for example, in supporting our inaugural laptop project for students with visual disabilities in our law schools. We picked law schools not because I am a lawyer by training and profession, but because that is the easiest place to start, as opposed to dealing with mathematicians. And we need to start where we can process data fairly easily and ensure that we are also training advocates who will come and fight for others to ensure that we move forward in the promotion and protection of our disability rights, promoting legislation and policy development to ensure that we have an array of frameworks that support our agenda. And that was just an inaugural program. We'll be calling on others to give us maybe 20, 30, 50 laptops in one given year, just so that all our learners are at par with others who have accessible technology and manage to process data with ease. Then we have Google as well, whose Chromebook project has transformed lives in some of our schools today. And we really are thankful to see what they are able to do in the 4 special schools and other projects that the public have access to. Microsoft as well, for putting up a computer lab at St. Lucy's School in Meru, and the MasterCard Foundation, Google, Uber, and a number of others that have been supporting this particular conference. Last year, I believe, the year before, and this year. And here we are counting on all of you again to join us next year when we come together to ask ourselves, what is it that we did? What have we learned from what we have been able to accomplish? What are the challenges we've faced? What do we need to do a little differently? And what do we require to do what we must do to move forward and achieve what we are set, what we have set ourselves up to achieve. So it is my hope that you will enjoy the conference, that we will have an exchange of not just technical but other informative material that will guide and inform our way moving forward. And I hope you will also be able, or you will get a perfect opportunity to associate with those others in attendance, to get to know each other and get to know the best way we can join hands to do what we must do to move our agenda forward. At the end of the day, all we want is to be part of the inclusive development that we all talk about at the global level. We want to be together at the workplace, in education, make sure that we are all included in everything that concerns us in our life. And thanks very much, and I wish you a good experience in what we have come here to accomplish. Asanteni sana.